Welcome back, everybody. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Aaron.
This is our show, Cryptocosm, where I talk about the astrological forecasts.
And I bring you your daily crypto news.
And we got a lot of both going on today.
Coinbase and Ripple and Coinbase and
squaring Pluto and Saturn. And it's a nightmare going on upstairs. Can you feel it?
Oh, I could feel it. I woke up this morning with it. I was looking at the screen and saw a $1,000 drop.
Yeah. Well,
but it got back up again. So
pretty
quickly, within the 2-hour range. So
it hasn't quite gone back to the 10.7 that it was at 11 o'clock this morning Eastern Standard Time. So, you know, the first thing I noticed, you know, we talked about it, Mercury and Venus both moved into the sign of Aries, okay, just the other day. And today, this morning, they started squaring Saturn. Saturn, Father Kronos, nobody escapes Father Time, okay?
The big dog.
Saturn is the big dog. There's two big heavy hitters and they're both in Capricorn right now, okay? Saturn is about 7 degrees and Pluto's about 19 degrees, 20 degrees at this moment.
Tell us more. Tell us more.
So, Mercury and Venus. Mercury, you know, Hermes, God's little messenger, the trader of goods, the mercantile, okay? He wants to communicate and make these trades, and we pay very close attention to him. And we pay very close attention to our loving planet Venus, which is our money, our not only our wants and desires, but our possessions and the things that we own. And money is obviously the way to get those things. So these two planets play a huge role in the financial world. And right now they are squaring the big dog Father Time. So a fun game we like to play is with Saturn is words that begin and end with ST.
Strong.
Strict.
Test.
Stubborn.
Biggest.
Most.
Bestest.
There's tons of them. Just think in your head. Right. I mean, there's a lot, and it's, you know, Saturnian types of words, okay? This room over there is big, the studio over there is bigger, but this studio is the biggest, okay? It's putting things to the limit. That's why it is the governed, you know, it's the associated planet of Capricorn. So it's like this table can take 300 pounds, and it's just like, okay, can it? We're gonna put it to the test before we release it to the wild.
I'm gonna sit on this table before the end of the show.
And so am I, so it's gonna be 301 pounds. No, we're giants. It's going to be way more than that. But the point is here, when we have the messenger, the trader of goods, and the planet of money squaring the tester of time, and it's squeezing the life out of them, and they both want to, in Aries is that spark, it's the match, it's going to get the fire going, but it's not going to keep the fire lit, okay? That's what Leo's for. Leo's the sun, it's the hearth that keeps on burning, but we're not there yet. We got a couple months to go. We're in Aries, we're the initiation, we're the gas on the accelerator, okay? And they want to go, 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 and it's also the sign of self. So it's just like, yeah, I want to make decisions, I want to make moves, I'm ready to do these things, let's make it happen. And then you guys stand up here saying, wait, just wait. Do you really have all the information you need to move forward? Do you really have all of the things that it's going to take to get from A to B? You know, I love the old expression, you don't have to take, you know, you don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step. You know, I live by that. But you got to make sure you're not stepping off a freaking cliff, okay?
That's right.
Now, I don't want to scare you because this square with Mercury specifically, because it will be retrograding on the 22nd. It begins its retrograde cycle on the 22nd. It's going to be squaring Saturn to the 18th. And on the 16th, it begins squaring Pluto. So for 2 days, we're squaring Pluto and Saturn together. Okay, the heavy hitters of the zodiac, transformation.
It's going to be a square sandwich.
It's a square sandwich, and which is not a bad thing. Again, I don't want to scare you, but it's also, whoever cannot stand the test of time is going to say, bye-bye. Whoever.
You know, it's interesting because we have all of these ICOs and all the ICOs that we're launching in November, December, and January. And there's hundreds of them. And I even picked up a couple now that I like that were just like, wow, the prices are so low. But I mean, with this in mind, it's like, well, this is kind of the big test. So our
strategy.
Yes, I picked up some coins at pre-ICO pricing. But I mean, we're going to see if some of those ideas were really a good thing moving forward. I'm pretty sound on my decisions, and I'm hoping that this test all around the block here is going to be, to a lot of your guys' advantages as well. Hopefully, the research we're doing and the research that you're doing on your own, every little bit helps, and we're getting those sound decisions in. But yeah, I think we're going to be seeing that this test pushes it to the extremes, because some of these coins are 2, 3, 4, and 5
extremes.
cents.
Friends, this is going to be a square for 2 months. That doesn't happen, okay? It doesn't happen that often in astrology. A 2-month square to the biggest dog in the zodiac. It just doesn't happen. And we're talking about the trader of goods, which is very, very key in this world of cryptocurrency and finances and trading of money, trading of coins. Okay, it's not until May 3rd that it finally ends the square.
We've got some time.
May 3rd, okay? That's serious, guys. We have some serious testing of time to do. And Venus is right up there with it, but Venus is going to keep moving. As Mercury is going to start moving backward and continue its square. It's going to say goodbye for just a day, as it's hanging out with Pluto, and then it's going to go right back into Saturn's crutches and saying, you may have transformed, you may have learned some stuff, but did you learn enough? Did you learn enough to move forward and to go on to the rest of whatever is to come, which is a lot of good things to come? So that retrograde cycle is going to be squaring Saturn the entire time. So it's going to be, again, what's going to happen during the retrograde cycles is frenzies. People act out of impulsive behavior. Now, if
you mean like Black Friday frenzy?
Exactly. That is a perfect analogy, okay? Because it's like, get out of my way, my kid needs this. It's like even like going to Disney, I'd seen that. It was the most wildest thing. It's just like, here we are, okay, perfect. Disney is that Pisces thing, and here we are, because it's that magical, dreaming place.
The Magic Kingdom, baby.
Right, it's the Magic Kingdom. It's that dreamy place. This is perfect, for like that Pisces party that we just had. The Sun and Neptune are still there. Neptune's going to be there till 2025. But then you get there and it's like, well, no, my kid needs the dream experience. I got to be in the front. And it's like pushing away and all this. And it's just like, holy smokes, man. Like, what is going on? So it's like everybody's got to get theirs. It's me, my. And, slow it down. That's what Saturn is telling us right now. It's slow it down. Because if you start to jump in the deep end or you walk off that cliff before you really notice there's no ground beneath you, slow it down. Be careful. Be careful out there. It's scary. It's a house of mirrors. You never know what you're looking at.
I'll tell you, I've got all my bets placed, and I'm solid, and I can't wait to see what happens through this retrograde cycle. I'm going to let the Black Friday shoppers go out there and go on their frenzies, and I'm just going to watch the screen for a while.
Absolutely. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be great because you're going to see a lot of movement. I mean, there's a ton of money to be made. There's also a ton of money to be lost if you're acting hasty, okay?
Take your time. Slow it down.
Slow it down.
Make educated decisions.
And so for me, it was easy to see, okay, as I'm looking at the chart, this $1,000 drop was really easy to see from my chart. But then there's also what's reflecting down here on Earth. Down here on Earth? Let's plant our feet in the frickin' ground here. What are the Earthlings saying? Why is this dropping?
Well, today on CNBC on Fast Money, they had an elective come out basically stating that the SEC regulations on cryptocurrency exchanges need to be registered. And that's why we just saw the bottom kind of falling on the floor there for a minute. But if you notice, I mean, it did drop 1,000, but if you're looking at the 2 to 4 hour charts, we saw it, the closing price. If any of you are familiar with the candlesticks, you'll have basically a full solid rectangle, or sometimes you'll have this little spinny little tail at the bottom. Now, it might have the price has gone down that low, but if you have that little wick at the bottom and that solid square closes up, you see that we have individuals that bought it back up and ate it right back up. Very quickly. At the point where it closed, we're still above the bull flag trend that we've had for Bitcoin. So I've been watching it every day. It's probably what I do right after I brush my teeth, sometimes even before. I know. Crazy.
While he's brushing his teeth.
That's right. That's a bonus. But every day I'm a little crypto compulsive. I'm definitely keeping an eye on it. We are still above the trend line right now, which is fantastic. And we've been in this consolidation pattern since January. So we've made a really steep slope. We'll definitely bring the charts back probably right after this weekend and take another deep look at it to see if where we remain. We don't really want to take a look and make any hasty decisions right after the hour or a couple hours after we'd had this little bit of dip. But currently at this time, we're still above trend, moving in that upward panel. The bulls are still moving forward at this point, so to speak. So we're definitely optimistic, and we're hoping that, well, Bitcoin's withstood so many tests so far. So many tests so far.
And that's what we need. You know, again, there's a lot of friends out there that I have. I have a group of friends that like totally get the astrology stuff, and then a group of friends that totally get the crypto stuff. And they're like, well, I don't believe in that, but I totally believe in the future of this. And then other friends are like, yeah, I get the astrology, but I don't know about that Bitcoin stuff, you know. So it's fun to see the parallel, you know, but
it's going to be interesting.
They play hand in hand, you know, and it's just, again, we are moving forward. Mercury is moving forward until the 22nd. We are moving forward in all this stuff. So it's just like the gas is on, you know, the foot is on the gas pedal here. We're cruising. We're cruising.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And speaking of cruising, what did we just see? What just happened today? Well, today is the 7th. I don't know what time this video is going to come out, but the 7th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern Standard. We had Ripple's CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, came out and spoke with the individuals on Fast Money on CNBC. And it was a really interesting interview. Now, they were supposed to air this a day or two ago, but I guess they got cut off. So they came back out and they were kind of showing screens and clips and made a big whole deal about it. It's been on Twitter for like 2 days now. And, oh, the rumors are coming!
Is it going to be released on Coinbase
Is it? Not? Tell us more!
And then, you know, Coinbase said no.
No? Well, Coinbase is definitely still facing their trials with Bitcoin Cash. They had a lot of issues with the inside trading. So they're going to be straight as an arrow from this point on. I mean, they're going to have to do any and everything that they can do to make sure they are, you know, passing this drunk test, walking on the line.
More tests, more
lots
regulations.
Of tests. I'll tell you what. And, I mean, it's as far as looking at the actual CEO, it's a coin toss. You could look at it from several different ways. Now, the way it was stated when he was just point blank asked, is your cryptocurrency going to depend on future partnerships with Coinbase, and when is it going to happen? And he kind of sits back and goes, well, there's many other Coinbases, but, well, you know what? It's not up to us. It's up to Coinbase. We're going to let them do it on their own time. So, no yes, no no. Obviously, they've been waiting in line with Coinbase for, I don't know, since they came into existence. Absolutely. So for the individuals that have never seen anything about cryptocurrency and they had to pick one, either it's going to be on Coinbase or it's not going to be based on Coinbase, based on this episode, they'd probably shake their heads and go, well, yeah. I mean, he's like, just kind of like, well, if it were up to me, you see this little thought bubble in his head, it goes, well, I would already be on there.
Right. Like, of course I'd be on there.
We're just kind of waiting on them. So are they going to show up on Coinbase? Probably, but who knows when? They could have been waiting online for months, years at this point. So there's a coin toss. There's no definitive evidence whether it's going to be one way or another. Unfortunately, sorry guys, there's no news to sell at this point in time. You guys are going to have to wait a little while, just a little bit. Or a lot of bit. We don't know. We don't know. That's kind of the whole thing.
Well, the wheels are turning either way, and it was really cool to see him, you know, come out, and it was a really good interview.
It was.
And we've talked about it. Neither of us are invested in Ripple. We're not sure how we feel about it at the current time. Is it's
more of the same?
We'll see.
We'll see. It is, and once again, you know, if it keeps dropping, it's at what, 86 cents just before we started airing the show. So if it comes down a little more, I might look at it. We were up to what, 270, even in the $3 range.
It was, yeah, about 330, I think.
I was going to say 325, so that sounds about right. And is there money to be made? Heck yeah, there is. I mean, they're partnered with over 60 different exchanges right now,
which is huge.
34 billion in market cap. I mean, there's a lot of money there. A lot of money. And you know what? For not being on Coinbase with the top 4, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ripple stayed in the top 5 exclusively for
and on the tip of everybody's tongue the whole time.
That's right. I mean, they're a major player, and they don't even have the Coinbase card yet.
Right, which is interesting.
So it's I mean, Ripple, great job, you guys. I mean, you definitely have your own niche. You're in front of the line. You're way ahead of the rest. Is there money to be made? Absolutely. But there's a lot of money to be made in so many different avenues. It just all depends on what fits your personality, what you believe in.
What you believe in.
Buying what you believe in what you buy.
And that's really what it comes down to is do we see future in this? Like, do we see a future and money to be made in it? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Without a question of a doubt, and especially, toward the end of the month here and the start of April, I think there's it's gonna be wonderful. It's gonna be a lot of money to be made during that time. But is it what's gonna be the future? What's gonna stand the test of time? Of old Father Saturn up there.
They've stated they got over 100 partnerships with Western Union and some of the largest banks. Now that they're releasing an app in Japan. I want to get away
from the banks. I want to get away from the banks so
But I
bad.
think we're going to have to connect with the banks first to make that transition to go, okay, the banks are accepting it. It's okay. And you're going to get in there and it's like somebody's selling you a service and then you buy that service and they come over and they're like, whoa, well, that's all you did? That's what I called you over here and paid you $300 for? Like the plumber came over and just flushed the toilet. Well, you know what? I could do that by myself. I don't need you. I mean, that's one way of how things could very well go down.
Yeah. And I mean, what I'm curious about is when companies like, just pay companies like entertainment partners or contract services or any of these, just the giant payroll companies are going to just be able to switch into paying this cryptocurrency. To me, that's super exciting. We're not there yet. I think we're a serious ways away from that happening before that official world currency is going to happen. But, to me, we know a guy that it was literally his boss asked him, well, how do you want your Christmas bonus? And he said, I'll take it in Ethereum. And it's like, man, that was the coolest thing that I heard. And the boss actually owns a Bitcoin ATM machine here in Detroit, 2 of them actually. And it's just like, oh, the future's among us. Stuff's happening.
Fantastic.
The gears are turning, the wheels are turning. Again, the gas is on the accelerator.
Absolutely.
Foot's on the accelerator. We're putting gas in it. We're moving forward. This is an exciting time. So,
speaking of more money to be made, and Coinbase is now also offering, or going to be offering, index funds. And this is actually one that I'm very excited about, especially for the mass population. Now,
not only for the ballers anymore.
Not just for the ballers. Now, I mean,
we're all ballers to our own respect, right?
On the bell curve, we have the early adopters, which are probably the riskiest ones. They're the ones willing to take the most risk because A, it's new frontier. Nobody else is doing it yet. It's uncharted territory. So they're willing to take that risk. So they're betting on red and black and the line and all over here and all over and number 36 and number 5 and they're going to spin the roulette wheel and let it ride. And that's what we've been seeing over these past few months. And a lot have made that 1 to 36 odd shot and became a millionaire. And there have some that have mortgaged their second home and may not be doing so well.
We have seen the parallel of both, certainly.
And that's great and all for early adopters and high risk takers. But what about the 95% of the rest of the population on the planet? No, now it's time. They want
to throw $100 in.
Now it's time to focus on them. And index funds on Coinbase, right now it's only for accredited investors. So you got to be worth a lot of money and be kind of a big deal and all that and be licensed. But in the future, they said they're going to be releasing it for non-accredited investors, which may be just as simple as, well, they have the apps now like Robinhood and Coinbase and things like that where you can trade stocks free. Coinbase is going to make it simple. And so with the index funds, you're not going to be investing specifically in one, what it was in the traditional world, one stock at a time. You're not going to be investing in one coin at a time on this index fund. You would be, for an index fund on Coinbase, you would be essentially investing in all the coins that they have available on Coinbase and its underlying platform, GDAX, which is a trading platform. So that's the big 4. That's your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, your Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash, which is nice. And who knows, maybe one day they'll have Ripple, whatever. But right now it's just those big 4. Yeah. But they're going to be adding, you know, and it's going to be growing. But that's not going to grow as wildly and erratic up and down and be as volatile as just investing in just one Bitcoin or one Litecoin and having that one shot. You're spreading it out across the board.
Diversifying.
That's right. Playing the averages. So, you know, the SP 500 index, you're playing against 500 different stocks. And they say that's the safest way to make money consistently. So that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. I'm so not concerned with, sure, I would love it if I became a Bitcoin billionaire overnight. Fantastic, great. But for most of us, it's not going to happen like that.
Right.
And there are smart options and smart alternatives that you can take that's still going to put you in the right direction. And that's what we're starting to see now. The index funds, the hedge funds, that's where it's going.
And which is good. You know, again, we need these regulations coming, and we'll see again what happens come May. You know, I really expect to see a big kind of, you know, stamp in the ground is like, okay, here we go. This is some, you know, some solid ground for this world, because there is a lot of my friends that I was saying that are skeptical about the cryptocurrency, because they see the waves, and they don't see the peacefulness underneath the waves of the ocean, of like, you know, the tortoise just swimming and these beautiful fish. It's just like all they see is the crazy surface level on top. And it's just like, you know, a lot of us out there, we know the potential. We see, you know, like we've dove in. We know that there's this peaceful, beautiful ocean underneath this crazy surface. But we have to get this stuff figured out before everybody's jumping in our pool, you know?
Absolutely.
And at 3% right now, I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot more coming. And once these regulations come, you know, in May, it's going to be good. It's going to be good for the world.
Well, it's interesting. Like the Bitcoin addresses, if you guys are familiar with web addresses, no, I'm sorry, not web addresses, email addresses, because it's very easy to relate to. Everybody's got an email address. Well, the individuals in crypto, at least.
I have my Hotmail address. I don't even know what it is anymore, you know, like.
Bitcoin addresses are about that long on the screen, and you have better odds at guessing the Powerball numbers by like a billion
than just typing in somebody's Bitcoin
than guessing
address.
Somebody's correct Bitcoin address.
If I just put mine in and then change the last letter to a, you know, this, maybe I can score lucky.
That's where they're at right now. Now, you know, if you think about in terms of internet, everybody has IP addresses. So if you go to an internet or a website, if you go to google.com, it's probably everybody's homepage. Well, google.com really reports to an IP. So it might be like 1.51.321.69 or whatever it might be. Niner. But they have a whole thing where it translates the numbers into a very nice format like google.com. And I think that's what we're going to see later on in the crypto space, is we're going to have these translators, you know, and if not, maybe even centralized or decentralized identification. So if any of you individuals have had an intense job at work where you're in IT and you have, I don't know, 700 passwords that you need to remember, hopefully they would give you something like one password to rule them all. One username, one password to rule them all. And I would love to think at some point, you know, everything that you have would be stored under some type of central ID. And I think that's kind of, we're starting to see hints of that now. And I think with products like, just to name a few, because I'm aware of them, Substratum is going to have Substratum Pay. And all of these things are going to be hooked to a Substratum ID. So you have one singular ID to kind of do everything on the net. And I think that's how their apps are going to be built as well, which is cool. Like if I can't keep up with the passwords and the usernames, I can't do it anymore. I've got apps and I've got places to store things and I've got this over here and that over here.
Locked in a vault and a piece of paper that has to come out every single time that you want to log in.
I've got 47 sticky notes around my monitor, everyone with my ID and my. No,
and they're all in code, so nobody understands them but me. So you have to put this one here and this one here.
It's like a puzzle. But
there's people like that, man.
That's where crypto's at right now. And I think over the next year, maybe like year or two, we're going to see some major strides in terms of usability. And actually bring it down to a ground level where you don't have to, virtually connect to Japan, to Russia, to go into Thailand to buy these out of the back alley internet and
right,
and
like I want this, but I can't even get this coin. I got to sign up for this account, and it's not on.
Yeah,
and it's going to take me a week to get onto this. But all I want is to just
think about how it was 5 years ago.
We have come a long.
There's a reason why there was only
a handful of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're still moving. We're still moving forward.
We're still moving forward.
So these are all good things. These are all good things happening.
Lastly, Binance. I wanted to talk about Binance. There's a lot going on Twitter. Binance. I'm not French. Or no, it's Chinese. No, I don't know what it is.
We just heard Binance. But I look at it as like Bitcoin finance, which is Binance. So we're going to go with Binance.
Binance. So,
tomato.
Quote me if I'm wrong. Leave a comment.
Let us know.
Let us know. Give us a heads up. If I get cornered, then maybe I'll change my mind. But a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt on Twitter right now, as some of you have seen. And they openly came out and said, hey, there's not a problem with our servers. We haven't been hacked. There's been issues with users missing coins and users not being able to get into their accounts. They're getting into their accounts are empty. They see all these sell-off transactions. Well, a couple weeks ago, we posted on our Instagram and on our Twitter. If you guys aren't involved in any of those, jump on there because you'll be able to get the alerts anytime we see them when there's a fake wallet or a fake web address to make the community aware. That's one of the things we really try and do. So hop on those social media accounts to get those alerts first. But the last one that we posted was Binance with, this might have been projected as Binance, where it had two little dots under the ends. And if you weren't right up to the screen,
you wouldn't even notice it.
You wouldn't see them.
So you log into this Binance that's got the two dots, and all of a sudden you put your stuff in, and bye-bye. So it's like the blockchain's solid, but there's still guys out there that are trying to hack you, and there's, not hack you, but it's like it's creating these like fake websites that look exactly like the real one, and you just didn't.
It's logging in right behind you.
And that's the biggest thing I think with Mercury right now in Aries. And moving into this retrograde is like, slow it down, friends. Like, this is the biggest time over the next 2 months that mistakes can happen like that you can just really get lost in it and act too quickly because you're seeing a good deal and all of a sudden you just slow it down. I don't even want to say the possibility of what could happen, but just slow it down, all right? Because the good things are going to happen.
We'll try to keep you up to date every step of the way.
True wisdom card of the day.
Cut the deck.
Woo!
Oh, you didn't make it so easy for me this time. I think 99 times and find nothing. I stop thinking, swim in silence, and the truth comes to me. Albert Einstein. One more time. I think 99 times and find nothing. I stop thinking, swim in silence, and the truth comes to me.
Peace be with you.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen, and hit that notification at the bottom of the screen so you stay up to date every step of the way. Thanks again for joining us here on
Cryptocosm.